Welcome, everybody, to the first High Return Real Estate Podcast. My name is Jeff Schechter, aka Shecky, and I'm with here my amazing business partner, Mr. Jack Gibson.
Shecky, I'm so excited about this podcast. This is our very first High Return Real Estate show. And buckle up, everybody, because we've got some incredible information. We're going to cover some controversial subjects that nobody else in our industry is talking about. We're going to cut through the clutter of real estate investing. There's so much information out there. There's actually too much information, Shecky, and a lot of it is very misleading. So what we're going to cover on today's podcast is what we call the entrepreneurial dilemma. So what are we talking about with that, Shecky?
Yeah, it's great. And so interestingly, there's a new economy that's come to play, right? So, I mean, obviously job security is at its worst ever. And we're seeing, thankfully, in my opinion, a rise in capitalism. And I think to a certain extent that's caused because people are forced into being capitalists. They're forced into being entrepreneurs because they got to make a living. And so what that's done, obviously, with the proliferation of the internet, that's created this whole new internet economy as well. But what I find interesting about it, because as you know, I've been very involved in the internet marketing community, is there's a lot of people that are sort of these self-professed experts, right? And they're selling to a lot of the other same people in their marketplace, right? And there's all these promises, obviously when people come on the internet, they're looking to make money, right? And so there's all this promise of click button profits. Hey man, just push this button and it's automatic and you're going to be a gazillionaire tomorrow, right? But, honestly, entrepreneurs they're messing up big time, I think, when they're doing that. And there are ways to fix it, which we are going to talk about in today's podcast, right? And there's some really good ways to stabilize what's going on and not have to participate in the roller coaster ride that is what has become being an internet entrepreneur. And let's face it, if you are an entrepreneur and you are not leveraging the internet, then you're pretty much dead. I mean, it's going to be hard to survive if you're not leveraging the internet. But again, with that creates some sort of roller coasterism. And we're going to talk today about how to smooth some of that out. So in this new economy, there is some paradigms that have shifted, and I would like for you to talk about that.
Well, yeah, Shecky. And first off, you're very humble and modest, guys. Shecky is a very, very much an expert in internet marketing and on that particular subject. That's why I recruited Shecky a few months ago to join me in our company, High Return Real Estate, based on that expertise. So if anybody's a good person to talk about that subject, it is Shecky. So I think I'm pretty good to talk about this because, the paradigm of getting a good education, to get a good job is really no longer working. That's a outdated, way. And you look at one of the biggest challenges facing our economy today, according to experts and people I really respect, like Robert Kiyosaki, says that the next major bubble in our economy is the student loan crisis, right? All these young millennials and kids that were sold on the fact that they needed to go to school, get a good grades to be able to get a good job. And now they're saddled with this huge amount of student loan debt that is the next major bubble about to pop because the income that that the kids are coming out of, college and the income that they're able to generate from getting that, going through that whole process, it's not enough to cover and offset those student loans. So, we're going to see some challenges with that down the road.
Well, Jack, just a question for you, don't you also think too that, it seems to me that the information and the education that people are getting within college these days is, because things are changing so fast, it becomes obsolete so quickly. So by the time these kids are getting out of college, a lot of the stuff that they've learned is now obsolete or becoming dated already, even in just in that 3 or 4 year period.
No, absolutely. And that's why they're having trouble, landing good quality jobs. It's like they need to, go on after they get their bachelor's and get a master's degree. And then it's just this never ending cycle of they continually need more and more education. And I'm a firm believer that education is important, but self-education and real world diving into the marketplace is really the way to go. So, what we're finding is that so many people find working for themselves is a lot more stable. And like you said, all roads of entrepreneurship lead to the internet. I mean, there's social media is the new way to market, products now and to really reach people. And so you've got to be learning these skills, and it's great, but it does create some problems. And so you can definitely hit on those, I'm sure, Shecky.
Yeah, and I think, like I said earlier, is that if you look at sort of the big, like in the car business, there's the big three, right? The big three manufacturers in the US, right? If you look at internet and what's being marketed on the internet, there's a big three. So what do people really want, right? They want beauty, they want love, and they want money, right? So these are three basic things, right? So the hugest niches inside of marketing on the internet speak to those three things. So like, it's from a standpoint of beauty, like, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to be younger? Anti-aging? That whole thing is a gargantuan niche. And then the whole love, like, do you want to find a mate? Look at the proliferation of all the dating sites and
adult websites are
yeah. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, and so even a lot of these sort of life coaches and things like that are all, there's an underlying theme of helping you find the love of your life or regaining the love that you lost if you're already in a relationship. But people have a basic need to be loved, right? But the other thing is again, we talked about this, is the economy has shifted so much and so quickly that the biggest of all the three is how to make money. So that space of making money online is just absolutely gargantuan. And sadly, again, because of this situation where, like you said, social media and people having to posture themselves as experts, there's a lot of experts out there that aren't necessarily experts, right? And so what happens is you end up with a lot, especially in the make money online niche. And I can tell you, I worked for what would be considered a guru in the internet marketing space. And, everyone is selling to each other, right? So you got all these would-be marketers that are selling to other marketers. And honestly, I got to tell you, it's really incestuous, right? And the problem really is not just that, but it's also the marketing. There's too much of this sort of promise of push button riches. Like, hey, I'm going to show you this really cool system where all you've got to do is do ABC and push a button, and there's going to be money like automatically deposited into your bank account. Well, for the guy that's sitting at home on the other side of his computer screen, and he's worried about how he's going to pay his rent, obviously that's a pretty compelling argument. And, the more we go forward with technology, the more Americans are promised and being delivered immediate gratification. So we get trained by that, and then we start thinking that riches and a real business and real entrepreneurship can just come at the push of a button, right? So anyway, I think personally that a real business is not push button easy. And you've been an entrepreneur, Jack, really most of your adult life, as have I, and I'm sure you can attest. That being an entrepreneur is not push button easy.
No, businesses become successful because they have two things in place. They have, number one, a real product and service that provides a real value to the marketplace. And then you have to have a marketing system to continually generate new clients. And so even with all of that, people could still be riding this roller coaster in their businesses, and hopefully we're speaking to a lot of you listeners about this particular subject right here. This hits home, is that in a lot of cases, your income is not stable. It's an up and down roller coaster. You make, generate a sale, or you generate a new business contract, and then you fulfill that, and then you're out of business or out of income until the next one comes in. So it's really important to have a stable passive income flow that you can rely upon, that's consistent, that's a backup income to help protect your family. And for me, one of my primary businesses that I've built the last 20 years is in the health, nutrition, and weight loss industry. But you guys can imagine what happens to the weight loss business in November and December. I hear crickets. It is nobody's starting a program, and I shouldn't say nobody, but not very many people, right? They're always wait until January. So November, December, middle of July, August, I'm riding that roller coaster. So I was always looking for a way to create a secondary stream of stabilized income that I could, have in place to continually come in month after month. And that was very, very consistent. So that is what we want to, help you guys to achieve.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point in that there is almost every business will have some sort of seasonal nature to it, right? I mean, there are very few that are just rock solid year round.
Very true.
And when you get into this whole push button promises, right? So one of the things that I've seen in the stuff that I've worked on is that people are hopping from, they'll do a joint venture with somebody, or they'll do a webinar, or, they'll do some promotion with somebody else, and they'll make a bunch of sales. And like you say, then the sales are fulfilled, and it's like, now what? Now we're back to zero, right? So, well, we got to do a launch. We got to create a new product. So you become only as good as your next promotion. And it's a really very unsmooth ride. And, I know some people that are very, very successful, but, they'll have months where they'll make $40,000, $50,000 in a month. And the next month they make $3,000.
Yeah.
It's crazy, some of the stuff that goes on. So,
and here's one thing that, I figured out, and we both figured out pretty quick, is that people have to pay their rent if they want to live in their, in their place. So that's the very, very last thing that they're not going to pay. For most other businesses that we start and provide product to the marketplace or services, they could be slashed if they absolutely have to, right, out of people's budget. But nobody wants to be living in their car or living in a tent in America. They want to have a roof over their head. So it creates the stability right there automatically because of the product that you're offering.
Yeah, agreed. And it's a perfect segue, because really there's the question becomes is, how do you fix this entrepreneurial dilemma, right? So rather than blowing on a Ferrari when you have a good month, right, you start thinking like in a more mature way and saying, okay, how can I stabilize my income? And, obviously there's two things at play. One is conscious capitalism. Like, am I putting good value out there into the world? Am I treading lightly on Mother Earth? Am I making the world a better place? Like, can I create the kind of business that is sustainable, right? I'm not just like some flash in the pan, because those are important questions to ask in your own core business. But secondly, how can I take some of the profits that I'm making in my business and stabilize that income? And, you bring up a really, really great point, is that, the one thing that people are never going to stop paying is their rent. I mean, basically they need a roof over their head and they need food, right? So, and clothing. I mean, they need basics. And even people that are wealthy need that just as much as people that are living hand to mouth. So that tends to be the one thing. Those are the things that always get paid for. There's a lot of other things like student loans that may get blown off, right? But rent is not one of them. So, that leads us to a perfect segue is to, if you would talk about really if you're taking a percentage of profits, right, and putting it aside for investing, what would you say, Jack, is really the fastest and easiest way to income stabilization?
Well, I've been investing for a number of years, and you can certainly, go to the stock market. And the problem that I experienced is that, I'd make a, quick, big, hit, make a lot of money. And then, a month or two later, boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
Or, maybe it wasn't like that dramatic of a swing, but just the whole up and down roller coaster is always going to be there. And I mean, with the market, as we, record today at an all-time high and climbing, everything cycles in our economy. I always talk to people in coaching that, all things in life cycle, your relationship cycle, your business cycles, the economy cycles, the stock market cycles, everything has a cycle. And so we're at an all-time high, and how long is just cannot keep going up and up and up. There's got to be a major correction coming. And a lot of experts are predicting that. So real estate, buy and hold, residential real estate creates another stream of income that's completely passive if you set it up the right way. And you can certainly be very, very hands-on and create another job. If you're looking for a way to create a steady, secure backup stream of income, I know no other better way to do it that's going to be consistent, and it's going to be, you're just very, very rock solid and dependable coming in every single month. So this does not mean that you have to learn or master another business. And this is really that fear of learning real estate that kept me out of it for years. I read Robert Kiyosaki's book, classic Rich Dad Poor Dad, back in 2001, but I did not understand or believe I had the time to be able to go out and acquire properties and scout out properties and then rehab them and get them, put tenants in place and manage the tenants. Like, that was a daunting, set of skills that I didn't want to learn and didn't have the time to learn. So when you use a turnkey company, you can leverage off their expertise and still enjoy all the benefits that come along with real estate investing. So, this is very, very passionate topic for us, because this has definitely changed my entire, lifestyle. It's changed our financial, future.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I want to just throw in too, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this, is that many entrepreneurs, the ones that I know, they barely got time to answer an email. So, you bring up a good point about not having the time to start really knowing this stuff. And this is the beauty of turnkey. And it's not really, obviously, we're going to go into this in other podcasts. It's not necessarily something we're going to cover today. So, definitely stay tuned to this channel. But the next podcast we do, we're actually going to touch on this stuff. And we're going to actually talk about some of the tropical sandy beaches of Indiana. So it's a really interesting subject, and it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. So hey, if you really liked what you heard today, we're super appreciative that you were here. And Jack, thank you for all your insights. And if you want to learn anything more about some of the subjects that we touched on, you're more than welcome to check out our website. It's very simply highreturnrealestate.com. And if you have any questions, there is an opportunity on that site to book a call directly with us. So with that said, we thank you very much, and we'll look forward to speaking with you next time.
Thanks for listening, everybody. It's our pleasure, and we look forward to continually having this conversation over our next several podcasts. So stay tuned.